that there will be more. Because there's no message that they're not coming, so we'll keep our fingers crossed that maybe it's just weather related or something. It's like I told those that were at the house a while ago, I was out in the rain until just a couple hours ago sandbagging. It got nasty here, so somebody wants us to have this reunion because Blaine says we're done, but we'll keep our fingers crossed. Anyway, welcome. And in my humble opinion, and if it's okay with you, I think that not only Grandma and Grandpa, but a whole lot of other ancestors would like us to start with a word of prayer. And if that's okay, I'll just give that and we'll get started. Our Father in heaven, as we meet here this morning, we are so extremely grateful for the blessings that are ours as a Thomas family. And this day we are thankful that the efforts that have been made have been rewarded by our being able to get together. We pray for those other family members who are still attempting to make it here, that they'll find safety and arrive here, that they can also join with us. We're thankful for family and pray that we will strive to continue to build our family relationships and grow closer, especially as a Thomas family, as it's been way too many years since we've been together. Heavenly Father, we ask that this day that we'll be able to have fun and joy and get to know those that we don't know and rekindle those relationships that we do have within the family, that we'll have safety in our travels, and that we'll find this as a joyful event. And we do these things in the name of thy Son, Jesus Christ. Amen.
Amen.
All right. Okay, so I guess what we'll do, because of the weather conditions and whatnot, is before we go out and maybe a drive-by, if it's dry enough, sure, we'll get out and go and look. And you know what? I got a carpet cleaner. I have no problems cleaning the carpets if you want to get out and roam around. But Anne-Marie Robinson is the lady. She is our librarian here in town, and she's the lady who now owns the Rock House. And she was happy to have us come and tour the outside of the home, but she works today, and so she was a little hesitant to, let us just go roaming through. So maybe what I'll do to start is tell you a little bit of the memories that I have of the Rock House and how it's set up and whatnot, and then we'll throw it out there to Doug and Steve and any of you who happen to remember. The Rock House was on the corner of 200 East, 200 South. 200?
We drove past it.
300 South. And my whole existence basically was at the Rock House. When I wasn't at Mom's and Dad's store, Grandma Thomas was pretty much my babysitter. And there's an entrance to the house here. It's a very simple little layout. You come into the house, and this was the front room, and the way I remember it, I do know that they did a little bit of remodel, and so maybe Doug can help us with that. But you entered the home here, and this was just a large living room. And there was a door here, and this was a bedroom. There was a closet here, and you could walk through the closet into the other bedroom. This is the kitchen, and then right here was a bathroom. And very small. The toilet sat next to the tub, and you could sit on the toilet and wash your hands.
Wide.
Yeah.
Literally.
It was very small. Come on in, guys. There's more chairs. And be sure and get your names in for the drawing. But it was a small home. Also, off from the back of the kitchen, and they have fixed that up now, and that, to my knowledge, is what Anne-Marie uses as like where her TV and her cats, she loves cats, reside. But this was just a back porch when Uncle Herbert lived in a trailer here. He had an upholstery business set up in the back of Grandma's home on that back porch, and then this just went out back. As you come out the back door, there used to be, and this was the most fun in the whole world for me as a kid, this was a root cellar. And so it was deep, and all there was the pitch, over it, so that as you went down the stairs, you didn't bonk your head. But I remember as a kid, that was our horse. You'd climb up on the pitch, and that was the horse up on the pitch. You'd slide down the pitch. That was one of the most favorite places to play at Grandma's. The other place is we go there, you'll see there was a front porch, and there are cement and wood posts here. And we would play freeze tag on that porch, and that's where we would play Grandma's. For the girls, the favorite thing for the girls was in the summertime, we would make hollyhock dolls. And be sure I've got packages, at least one per family. I might not have one for every individual, but at least one per family. I have packages of the seeds that I harvested from the seeds that I took from Grandma's, her hollyhock seeds. So if you'd like to take a packet of those seeds, she had two colors. There was a dark kind of a melon pink color, and then there was a deep maroon. And there are some of each one of those. And so in the summer, we would play hollyhock dolls all day, every day. And in the winter, she'd let us cut out of the Sears and Roebuck catalog, which you guys would never know about as kids, because now you get online and shop. Well, we used to have a catalog, and you'd look through that, and then you'd place an order and put it in the mail and wait for it to come.
Hollyhocks. The bees would go in, and you'd take your hands and catch bees.
Oh.
And then you'd pray that you never got stung. What was the last thing you said?
The catalog, the paper dolls.
Up at the ranch, they had a toilet outside. It had two seats. And I wondered, did they go to the bathroom to get, hi, how are you doing? Okay.
What you had for
The
lunch?
reason I wanted to bring this in right now, the yellow pages of the Sears catalog was what you used to
For toilet paper.
clean up with. And Marie was right. We did a lot of looking at things in that catalog and dreaming and all that.
And for the girls, it was Grandma would give us her scissors, and we could cut out dolls. We'd cut out the models in the catalog, and then we'd play paper dolls all day long, And yeah, some of them didn't have legs and arms, but that was okay. We had a paper doll, and we had all sorts of fun. Another memory of mine, and these are actually some of the spools of Grandma's that there were a couple of things that you would do with the thread. One was she would save her wooden spools and buttons galore. I guess I should have brought my box of buttons, but she had buttons galore. And she would let us get a piece of string, and we would string buttons and spools and make us beautiful jewelry. That was
What's
another
the modern one now that you buy for $2 or $3 or $5?
paparazzi.
Yeah.
It
That was
was-
the old
that was the-
paparazzi.
That was paparazzi jewelry back then. But the other thing that we would do with the spools of thread, and this was more what the boys would do, or what Raynald did anyway, but I'd always join him. We were just too close together in age, and I can't get it out. So you'd go out in the yard, and you would gather up the old branches, limbs, sticks from the elm trees that grew there. And then you'd peg those in the ground, and then you'd wrap the string around them and make corrals. And then Grandma would save bones from chicken and
Rabbit.
rabbits
Cows.
and the beef that they would kill, and those were your animals. You know, we didn't have the store-bought, you know, molded figures of cows and horses and whatnot. You used your imagination and you found the bone that looked the most like a horse or whatever, or you just pretend that that's what it was. And we would build farms and ranches. You'd go and pull grass out of the front lawn and make haystacks, you know, to feed the animals. And there was all sorts of fun at Grandma's. I forgot my lard can as well.
Oh, Lord.
Oh, I will go and get that in between while these guys are talking. Out back, you'd go out a little rock path. Grandma had a clothesline here where she hung her clothes, and then out at the end of the clothesline, there was a chicken coop. And you'd follow the rock path out to the chicken coop, and mine and Reynolds' favorite thing in the whole world, and it tickles me to pieces because I've got a grandbaby who comes to my house, Grandma, can I gather the eggs? And she would give us a lard bucket, and today I give Catcher a bucket, or he'll go out with his shirt or whatever, and I have a little pen of chickens of my own, and I don't care if they lay one egg. I have them just for a memory is what I have them for. But that was the most fun. But she had a red lard bucket that she would send out with us, and that's what you gathered the eggs in.
You don't remember what was the most important thing at the end of that path. It wasn't the chicken coop. It was before you came around, but that was the outhouse out there.
Oh, there you
Then
go.
over to the chicken coop.
Ah, no, I never did use the outhouse.
But at the ranch, if those eggs had a number on it,
Uh-oh.
don't touch them and don't bother the hen. Grandpa would put the day that either they were laid
He placed them in
or
there,
that they
so-
would hatch,
Yeah.
that they were laid. And he would put a number on in what, 28 days, 20-something days?
21 days to hatch them.
Oh, one of my favorite experiences is to watch those dumb bandy hens, and they would attack you if you got close to their babies. Those little tiny chicks, they were just teeny tiny and fun to goof around with.
My favorite experience about the numbered eggs is we was playing in the barn. We used to stack the hay up. Grandpa did. Had a big net. He'd roll it up into the barn and then drop it and it'd pile up. We'd climb up in there. Not if Grandpa was home, we wouldn't, but we was playing one time and Donnie Palmer slid down off, and a hen, there was a big pole in the barn, and a hen had made a little notch right in there and had, I think there was 28 or 30 eggs in there. And Donnie lit right in that, running down off the stack and broke those eggs. And
We all scattered.
yeah.
You did not want to be around when Grandpa got
Hold off
angry,
the
and
bench.
I'll bring another story up about that when we start talking about the turkey brooders. But so this is then the rock house, and for me, that is basically the only house I remember. I remember being told about the ranch, but when I have memory of the ranch, it was when Grandpa and Grandma sold it to. Grandma used to work in the post office, and they sold it to the postmaster there, the ranch. And so I only know of the ranch being owned by Stan Staley, you know, but I knew that he bought it from Grandpa and Grandma. So I don't have the memories and the fun experiences that these guys did. And so that's why I asked Doug if he would put together, Doug and Steve would put together memories of the ranch, because basically my only memory is it's up the canyon by Palmer's, you know. We didn't spend the summers there that they'll very probably tell you about, and the things that they did there on the ranch. My memories were mostly of the rock house. Some other things for you to know about Grandpa and Grandma, and I left it back there, was they were beekeepers. And that was my favorite thing in the whole world, was Grandma would give me a little piece of honeycomb and let me chew and extract the honey, you know.
Marie chews, by
Oh.
the way.
And it was the best treat of all time to me. And on the back table, I've got one of the honey knives that they would, when they were extracting. The way I
Cap of the
understand it,
Honey.
is this not one of the honey
That's a
knives?
capper, yep.
Yeah. And as the honey would come out, and these guys would probably tell you more than me, because basically my memory of the beekeeping was I remember Grandpa scared me to death once because he was in his big hood and everything, and I thought the aliens had landed. I'm not kidding you.
Grandpa
It
kept
was
a wood
scary.
stove going while we was doing honey up in the honey house, the ranch, and these had set on it, and the honey come in those slats about this big in the box, and there was like 10 of them in a box. So you'd pull those out, and then he'd take this hot knife over a barrel, and then he'd run it up there, and it'd uncap all of the honey, and he'd flip it around and do the same thing, and then we'd stick it in a big barrel that had a holder for, how many could you put in there?
Well, I
thought
guessed,
2, but it
I
might be 4.
guessed 6 to 8.
Yeah.
There had to be room for those things to spin.
But then we got to crank the crank, and it had a gear reduction there, so you could crank this crank and it'd get those spinning, and you'd spin them till all the honey come out of them. And then it was in a big, I don't know, probably a 75 or 100 gallon barrel. And then it had a spigot on the bottom, they could put them in the cans or buckets or whatever.
Now, the thing that Steve's avoiding telling you was turning that handle. And Herbert Buchanan loved to get that thing just whipping. And it'd start rocking and banging, and then that's when Grandpa would say, "Boy!"
Marie had that little chunk. When we was in there, you could have, because they'd cap that honey and put it in a bucket there, all the wax and honey. They didn't waste anything. They used that wax. Grandma made sticky gum salve with it, and you'd drain the honey that still come out of that, but you could just reach in there and get a big chunk.
Sticky gum salve, if you don't know, you can put it on a sliver, and it'll draw the sliver out.
It'll pull a nail out of the board if you put a big enough chunk on it.
Hey,
Yeah, you
honey,
need that
honey,
recipe.
how do you get emotional over it down the tongue? This is Grandma and Grandpa's honey. They told us when they gave us a 5-gallon can, this'll be good in 50 years. Well, this is 40 years. And I invite you at an appropriate time, if you want to taste honey and have it become a part of your body,
Raw.
then
Natural,
take
real
this.
good.
Now, those young people that are here, they're gonna see the sugar crystallized in there. It's still good, it's a little crunchy. But when it's appropriate, we'll uncap this thing and leave these here, and you can taste 40-year-old honey.
No double dipping.
One timer. If you want a lot,
Go wash your
clean
spoon.
up.
There you go. One other memory that I have of the Rock House, before we kind of turn it back over to more about the ranch, is Grandma every year would dry corn. And her whole front porch, she had stackers, screen stackers, that she would cut the corn off and put on the screens and then slide them into these stackers, and they went clear across her front porch. And then she would take those to friends or neighbors or those in need or whatever. And I don't ever remember Grandma not drying corn. Another fond memory of the Rock House was Christmases. Grandma never had a big Christmas tree. She always had a small Christmas tree. And instead of really decoration, she had lights on it, but she would buy
Yeah. How can you get
out
emotional
over a
about it?
stupid sucker. She would, instead of decorating the tree with balls and everything, she would purchase glass candy suckers in all shapes, and then she'd stick them in the tree. And when you'd come to visit her at Christmas, that was your gift, was you got to select a glass candy sucker from the tree, And then she always made puffed wheat balls. In fact, there were people in town when she passed away. And I was really good friends, and still am, with the next door neighbor to Grandma. Her name was Georgia Staley, and she says, "How will I ever have Christmas without puffed wheat balls?" And so for several years, I would make puffed wheat balls and take to her until she finally asked me for the recipe, and now she makes her own, you know. But that is one thing that I wanted you to know about Grandpa and Grandma. Grandpa was a gruff old guy, but still, you knew he had a heart because he let Grandma do anything and everything for friends and neighbors and family. Grandma babysat 80-year-old men, you know, to keep them healthy in their dying age. She worked in the post office. She was in the Relief Society. She, for I don't know how many hundreds of years, from the time I was teeny tiny, she would go around town and pick up handmade items or harvested bottled fruit, and would take the time to label all of those. And then she, a 70-year-old lady, would drive to Hurricane with all of these to enter them into the county fair. You know, and then she would, and it was Raynal and I wish Rain was here because
He'll be here.
He's on his way.
is it,
Yeah.
it wasn't a chore to us. It was fun to get to go to the fair with Grandma. It got to be a long day, and she would make us help. You know, we weren't there just for the ride, you know. She taught us well to be hard workers. But I just think of that. I mean, the hours that she spent collecting these items for people who probably could have taken them down themselves, but they depended on her to haul them down and get them into the fair and judged, and then they could either pick up the items or she would pick them up and bring them home to them with the county fair ribbons on them.
Business will probably never come up again. Rain was with her, one of her last big trips with all that stuff, and they had just completed the freeway off-ramp there to go to Hurricane. And when you come back to St. George, it was a two-way split. You came off the freeway and around this way, and you come up head on this way just with the little barrier. Well, she got to there and come up head on into the traffic coming off and people's honking and everything. And Rain will tell you that was a scary time.
A couple of items here. You'll understand better in a few minutes. But I neglected to talk about DUP.
Yeah.
And I neglected to talk about personality of Grandma. Grandma gave and gave and gave, especially the grandkids. And I regret that she wasn't one of these grandmas that would put you on your knee and hug you, bear you, but you knew she loved you. She loved you very much. And there was another thing, but I forgot it, so.
She asked Jeff, where you at? Ask Jeff.
I'll tell you, I got to
She hugged
experience
my
as a
kids.
great grandkid, sitting on her lap, having her rock us back and forth, singing Hi-Yo Bio.
Hi-yo,
Hi-Yo
Hi-yo.
Bio, like that, and eating those puffed balls
Wheat
there at the
balls.
house, yeah.
One of her other things besides the puffed wheat balls was her anything goes cookies, and everybody's like, why do you call them that? Well, she'd get making cookies and there'd be raisins in the fridge and some walnuts and old sour cream or whatever, and she'd just throw that stuff in and know the exact treat, the exact amount to put in there, and they just were like the very best cookies in the whole world.
That was whatever
I
she
just always
did.
called them her anything
The
goes
other
cookies.
thing was, I'm sorry.
No?
The other thing that I want you to know is that she served an LDS mission in Florida.
Wow.
Here she is, driving this car around. There's quite a difference between the population of the ranch and Florida. I don't
Dane County,
remember how old she was, but she was old.
69, wasn't
Just
she?
over 70.
Just over, oh, yeah.
When she
When she came home, she was 70
Did she
years
write
old.
letters from her?
Oh,
The
yeah.
question is did she write letters? Later you'll understand what I mean. When I say you'll understand, I have her journal. And I took pictures of every page and it's on a disc. And so if you're into reading
Not so
the
much,
history,
Glad to have it.
she hand wrote 80 to 90 pages of history, plus her missionary journal, and that's on the discs. And so if you're into computers and understanding how to get into it, Microsoft Word is the one that I use, but you can import it into a lot of them, but her missionary journal is in.
Is it in cursive?
Actually, it is
You
in
don't
cursive.
read cursive?
I hate reading cursive.
It is.
Grandma,
Maybe we need
I don't know,
to
maybe.
stop here. Has everybody got their picnic lunch that we were gonna eat under the trees? Do we need to go get a picnic lunch? Do we, what?
No, why waste time on the lunch?
Well, Because if we eat later, we're either gonna ask them to wait until 5 or
oh.
eat now, is what I'm thinking. If we don't eat our lunch, you
Yeah.
know, break and eat lunch, they're not gonna eat dinner.
You don't want to see me hungry.
No, I don't. So what's your thoughts there?
Yeah, it's a consensus.
Yeah, let's do. Shall we do that? If your lunch isn't here, they have deli at the store. I can throw some sandwiches together, whatever. But why don't we break and get our lunch, bring it here, and then do the ranch? Then we can do
Be back at
the,
what, 1:30?
Yeah.
I mean, yeah.
30
it'll be
minutes?
1:30, is that too much
yeah,
time,
no,
too
I
little
don't think
time?
so. Let's do that and then just come back here. Let's break, get us some lunch. There's a great drive-in. There's, like I said, the deli, they try and keep it pretty full all day, every day. Everything from pizza sticks to chicken, you know, and you can bring it back here and eat it. You can eat it on your way, however you want to do. Like I said, we were going to do it under the trees at the ranch, but I'm afraid we'll be sitting in a puddle there.
Don't leave
So-
out Mama Knows Pizza.
Oh, yeah.
It's actually in the post office where we all
Where-
got to be babysitted out while Grandma sorted mail or we helped her or whatever there.
Stamp the letters.
Street, yeah.
There you go. So let's do that. Let's take 30 minutes to grab our lunch and get back here, and then we'll go on to the ranch and the turkey brooders, and then we'll go on the drive-bys, and then we'll just come and visit and get to know each other, draw for prizes, have a Dutch oven dinner. Have fun. Okay? All right.
Okay.